MS Awareness Month is the month of May, and the big walk is coming up. But more importantly than anything else is really raising awareness and talking about the importance of it, because a lot of people probably don't realize, but Canada has the highest rate per capita of MS than any other country in the world. We don't exactly know why that is, but certainly it's so important to keep raising money to raise awareness and for those fantastic programs offered through MS Canada. I'm joined by the Manager of Impact and Evaluation, Julie Petrin. Julie, welcome. Great to have you here.
Pleasure to be here.
And this is personal to you. We were talking in the green room. You were diagnosed 17 years ago. Talk to me about that, because oftentimes, as I understand, it can be difficult to diagnose. What was your diagnosis like?
It did take a while, I would say. I was in Cégep. I'm from Quebec, and I was in Montreal at the time, and I lost feeling in essentially my entire right side.
Okay.
It started with my leg, and I couldn't walk properly, and then it kind of went up into my arm. I was in the middle of exams. Unfortunately, trying to write those long exams with pencils became difficult because I couldn't hold a pencil anymore.
Okay.
So I went to the emergency. I was sent home a couple of times. They didn't quite know what was going on, and it took about 2 years to get a proper diagnosis.
Wow. Is that common, Julie?
So, unfortunately, when I was diagnosed 17 years ago, the diagnostic journey was quite long. It was about 5 to 10 years sometimes even.
Wow. Okay.
We weren't very advanced, to be honest. Now it's not.
Okay.
Now it's relatively quick, which is good, because we know that getting on medication early is key to improving quality of life, reducing disease progression, and so on. So, but yeah, it took me a while, and then I was diagnosed. I was in social sciences at the time. I wanted to understand what was going on inside my body, so I took a few courses on the human brain, ended up in neuroscience, ended up doing a master's, a PhD in MS research.
Wow.
So pretty much changed my life, to be honest.
No kidding. In many different ways.
Yeah.
We still don't know what causes it, though, do we?
No. So there was a major breakthrough in the past year, I would like to say. It was quite momentous research coming out of Harvard that showed that EBV, or the Epstein-Barr virus, which causes mono, is one of the leading factors, or is a causative factor of MS.
Okay.
So now we know that is one of the multiple things that does lead to MS. So we're really trying to ramp up on the research side now to understand, oh, well, if we could prevent this EBV from happening, could we then prevent the entire process of MS from even starting?
Right. So there's no cure as of yet. Because we're still working so incredibly hard on that. But there are treatments now, right?
Absolutely. So when I was diagnosed, there were 4 treatments on the market. There are now 19.
Wow.
Significantly improved quality of life, significantly decreased levels of disability. It has completely changed the way that people live with MS. People are able to continue working longer, having better quality of life, as I said. Of course, there are still many challenges. Most of us with MS have relapsing and remitting MS, which means that we have these periods where we have things like my arm and my leg not working. Okay. Every person, I'd like to say, with MS is vastly different. We in the MS community call it the snowflake disease.
Yes.
So there are 64 signs and symptoms. You might not be able to walk. You might not be able to see. You may be incontinent. You may have cognitive issues. So no two people are quite the same. And so I think that that's key to remember. And it's key to remember that it's episodic. So today I may look fine, and then tomorrow I may wake up and unfortunately be blind or not be able to walk. And that's kind of what people with MS live with, and that's why sometimes people will see people with MS and not actually even realize that it's someone with MS. Today I look relatively like someone without any disease.
Well, the good news, is the advancements that you just talked about.
Absolutely.
I mean, just in medications alone, but to find those advancements, it takes money, it takes research, and the MS Walk is coming up. Tell us about that.
Excited about it. So March 28th, 45 locations all across Canada. We have one here in Ottawa at the Terry Fox Athletic Facility, and it's 5 kilometers. You can show up in person. We love having the community out there, showing our support, seeing that people are banding with us and fighting for the cure, finding a world free of MS. And yeah, so it's there's also an option for virtual for those who still don't feel like they're quite up to being in those big crowds. You can go walk wherever you want and be part of the community anyways.
Was the pandemic difficult on those that are living with MS?
Yes, I mean, of course, there's always an extra level of isolation, and MS Canada provides a lot of programs and services to help bring people together, like the MS Walk, but also programs for well-being and different programming where halfway through the pandemic, we were able to shift and get people into that hybrid world where we could connect at least online, but that did take a while. So there was a certain amount, of course, of isolation that people with MS had to deal with, and of course the access to hospitals, treatments, all of those sort of things were just like everyone else. There was an impact on that.
Right. Julie, how did you get connected with MS Canada?
Yeah, so all of my career was in MS, right? So I have been a volunteer at MS Canada for probably 15 years now.
Okay.
I was on the young adult committee at MS Canada, and then when I finished my postdoctorate degree in MS research, I wanted to do something that really had an impact and that I could continue working with people with MS, more on the programs and the mission side. And so MS Canada seemed like a great fit.
For the walk itself, did people pre-register? How did they raise funds?
Yeah, so you can pre-register. You can pre-register individually. You can pre-register as a team and make it fun. You could do that now. It's all the way up until the day before. So it's the 28th. It's coming up fast, but you could sign up the day before and still join us. Come by as a volunteer and cheer us on. Yeah.
I mean, and that makes a huge difference. As you said, you just want to get the community out to have an understanding of what it's like and to help raise awareness. Julie, really appreciate the time today.
Great.
Thank you very much for joining us again. The Ottawa MS Walk at the Terry Fox facility. You can find out all the information. It's 9:30 a.m. check-in, by the way, 11 a.m. opening ceremonies. We'll be right back.